point in your career. And then also he said, tell me how to be a pro. Like, how do I get to the league and stay there 10, 15 years? This kid, filled with humility, Jenna, a kid that you would absolutely love. But here's why this is a big deal. It's been 30 years since a wide receiver won this award. 17 of the previous 20 recipients were quarterbacks. Maybe the NCAA is getting it right and teaching us that it's not just a quarterback award. The NFL need to take note. We keep talking about Derrick Henry, right? Maybe the NFL will get it right this year, Nick.
It's a good take, Brandon. I like it. Devontae Smith.
All right, take of the year coming in 30 seconds. Nick Caserio, new GM of the Texans. And the Texans continue their Machine Gun Kelly versus Eminem relationship with the Patriots. Guys, I know you're obsessed with us. Just fall back. Just fall back. Started with Bill O'Brien, you got Romeo Crennel, and then you had a bunch of our players. You had Brian Hoyer, and you had Ryan Mallett at one point the Patriots had drafted. And then other coaches, Vrabel from the Patriots over there, Larry Izzo was there, Wes Welker was at one point the coach of a coach for the Texans. So here's the take. Then you got Jack Easterby over there, and then Brandon Cooks. Like straight Brandon Cooks, I like him. Take. Change your jerseys. Change your jerseys. Go with more of a Cowboys, not the Dallas Cowboys. Go for like a brownish kind of like, Texas Rancher thing. These are also the Patriots colors. Stop it. Stop it, Texans. Out of here. You're not the Patriots, although you keep on trying to get our guys. Change your jersey color. That's the take.
That is all correct by Wilds. He's 1,000% correct. All right, so the Atlanta Dream are in the news a bit. LeBron says he wants to put together an ownership group for the Dream. Who's in? By the way, Bron, I'll throw some money into that. I love that idea. So here's the deal. 2020 was the year of athlete activism. And NFL guys got a lot of credit for the video they put together. The NBA guys obviously walked off, did a bit of a wildcat strike. But there is no group of athletes that has been more at the forefront of athlete activism for years than the women of the WNBA. And the women of the Atlanta Dream did something that was, I feel, bolder than any other athlete activism when they actively campaigned against the woman who owns their team in the United States Senate campaign. These women are not rich, they do not have massive power, and they were risking all of their careers to do what they thought was right in campaigning for Raphael Warnock. Well, Raphael Warnock last night defeated the owner of the Atlanta Dream in the United States Senate, becoming the first black United States senator from the Deep South since Reconstruction. So no matter your political affiliation, what these women did, putting their careers where their mouth is, I think is incredibly admirable. And congrats to them for continuing to be the leaders in the space of athlete activism.
Good stuff, Nick. That's
so
great.
Good.
We take a turn now and head to Miami with two burning questions. One, will my parents ever actually move down there and stop talking about it? And two, is Tua the starting quarterback next season? Dolphins GM Chris Greer doesn't know my parents, so he weighed in on the second question, the quarterback situation, said it will in fact be Tua moving forward. Tua went 6-3 as the starter in an up-and-down rookie season. But what about Fitzmagic, Brandon? Your guy. Well, let me ask you, you convinced Tua's the starting quarterback down there in Miami?
Well, I'll say this, if they had Fitzmagic, they probably would have won that game, and they probably would have been in the playoffs. But look, here's the deal with Tua. Look, when he passed, when his first 15 passes go further than 4 yards, then I'll be convinced. If you go back and watch that game and look at his first 20 passes, like, what's going on here? Now, look, he has all the intangibles. You talk about leadership, you talk about relatability, you talk about can he throw it, football IQ. He has all of those things. But something interesting is going on in Miami. It's like this Tua Fitzpatrick thing, you know, sitting him, not letting him finish in games and getting those reps. What is going on in Miami where you're like, we got to pull him back? Also, the inconsistencies. You talk about Josh Allen all the time, Nick, and how he's up and down, up and down. But if you look at Tua, some games he'll go for 360 yards. Some games he'll go for 83 yards or 90 or 200. It's like, who are we dealing with?
That's right.
So I'm tough on quarterbacks, Nick, because you're the guy that told me that I actually played with, 17, 18 different quarterbacks. So I just need a little bit more time. I like the direction they're headed, but at the end of the day, I'm not convinced.
Okay, so this is tough for me because I like Tua personally. I think he's an exceptional young man. I really like his family, who I got to know a very little bit at the Super Bowl last year. And I went out there and said Tua, not Justin Herbert, not even Joe Burrow, that it's Tua should have been the #1 pick of the draft. But he was not impressive this year. And there are two ways to look at it. One way is he wasn't even supposed to play this year. This is supposed to be a redshirt year.
Yep.
Anything from Tua that was a healthy season was a positive. The other way to look at it is watch all the games the Miami Dolphins played and count how many impressive throws you can find. This one right here against the Chiefs is impressive, kind of. It's a good throw, but it is into triple coverage, almost got picked. Everything else is 3 yards. Everything else is dink and dunk. So there are real concerns. Now, into his defense, and Brandon, I'm going to tread lightly here because I know this is one of your guys. How much of this is Tua and how much of it is Chan Gailey, who they brought in because of the relationship with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and that maybe Chan Gailey had too much of the training wheels on Tua? I don't know. But because, Brandon, there is enough of an unknown, what I wouldn't do if I was Miami is give up on him and spend the 3rd overall pick on the 3rd best quarterback of the draft, whomever you think that is. That, to me, would be a rash decision. So I would not move on from Tua after a mediocre half a season of starting, but I cannot sit here and say I am thoroughly convinced the way I am about Justin Herbert that he is a no doubt can't miss franchise quarterback. He did not give us the evidence of that throughout the season.
Yeah, so just to respond quickly while it's here, just to respond to his point about Chan Gailey, I think it's more Brian Flores a thing than Coach Chan Gailey. Chan Gailey, I was with Coach Gailey in New York when I was playing for the Jets. And he's not that type of guy. He just wants you to do your job and go win. I remember when we were installing our offense wilds, Chan Gailey, I would go to him, I'm like, Coach, do you like that route? Did I get my depth? Do you want it like this? Do you want to do it like that? He said, Brandon, let me ask you a question. Did you beat the man? I said, yeah, I beat the man. He said, that's all that matters, Brandon. So I don't think it's Chan Gailey. I think it's all Coach Flores making sure that this kid is in the right situation to develop, whether it's right or wrong. He's doing what he thinks is best.
Look, so I think the whole thing is a mess. And we knew this was a mess when Tua got the starting job. And Doug Peterson's been taking so much heat for pulling Jalen Hurts out of the game, Nick. But who gave the Dolphins the best chance to make it to the playoffs? Was it Tua or was it Ryan Fitzpatrick, who was on a winning streak? You knew that they made the wrong decision because they weren't even allowing Tua to finish the games. And to say that they're not high on Tua, it's a little bit like your analogy, like you had $1 million in the bank and then you had 50,000. But if you have 0, you're looking up at 50. Wow, that's great. But if you had $1 million, went down to 50, it's a disaster. They were talking about giving him Marino's number. Remember that before the draft? Like, hey, should Tua wear Marino's number? Should we unretire? What should we do? He's our new franchise quarterback. Now they're not letting him. Now they're not letting him finish games. And where there's smoke, there's fire. He's not the best quarterback on the team. Is he the best quarterback in this draft outside of Trevor Lawrence? I guess. But are the Dolphins looking to have a redo? I'm 100% sure. It's like any conversation that's happening around Tua is not happening around Justin Herbert. None whatsoever.
No, it's
so
not.
If you don't have a Justin Herbert relationship with your QB, then he's not the guy.
But listen, I think after the first year, and it's going to be awkward coming from me on this, I think after the first year, most people would have thought the Bills wanted a do-over on Josh Allen. Another top 10 pick that there were question marks about. And now, right now, to the vast majority of the football world, that looks like a great pick. My advice for the Dolphins would be punt on this decision. And by that I mean they have 4 picks in the top 50. They have 3, 18, 36, and 50, if my math is right on this upcoming draft. Trade that 3rd pick for later in the draft and a future first rounder. That way, if after year 2, Tua hasn't improved, you have the capital you need to next year draft your quarterback. Don't make a hasty decision right now. Continue to parlay with that 3rd overall pick, which could get you a massive haul as far as draft picks, into future picks as insurance, if you would, in case Tua doesn't improve. That would be my advice for them, rather than to draft whatever quarterback's 3rd on their board after Lawrence and Fields go 1 and 2.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Nick. I mean, and why I say I'm not convinced is not because I don't think he can't ball. It's because sometimes guys need to develop. Not everyone's going to have a Justin Herbert type of rookie year. Like, it's hard. When I need my Tua time information, I'll go to the Sun Sentinel and I listen to Omar Kelly. Omar Kelly has this kid down, and he talks about 2 things. He's like, he's a step slow in his decision making, and his timing is a little off. Like, he's holding on it just a little long. He needs to see these guys open, meaning